Have you ever had someone hurt you only to suddenly return when you least expect it? It's a confusing and emotional experience that can leave you wondering why they've come back. Is it out of guilt, regret, or something else entirely? This kind of situation can leave you unsure of their true intentions and what your next move should be. But what if you could respond with confidence and clarity, no matter how complicated things seem? That's where the wisdom of Stoic philosophy can make all the difference. Stoicism, a mindset practiced by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teaches us how to stay calm, rational, and grounded even when life gets challenging. When someone who has hurt you reappears, Stoic principles help you understand why they've returned and how to protect your emotional well-being without getting caught up in drama. People might come back for many reasons: guilt, fear of losing control, regret, or the realization of what they lost when you moved on. But not every return is genuine, and some may just be about their own needs. Stoicism encourages us to respond thoughtfully and wisely, not to react impulsively out of hurt or anger. In this video, we'll explore the real reasons why people might come back into your life after causing you pain, all through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Whether it's a former friend, a past partner, or anyone else from your history, these insights will give you the mental tools to handle these situations with grace and confidence. If you've ever found yourself in this position, or just want to be ready in case it happens, this video could provide the clarity and strength you need to make the best choice for yourself. Number 1. The guilt that drives them. When someone who has hurt you reappears, guilt is often the silent force pulling them back into your life. It's an overwhelming emotion that can weigh heavily on anyone's heart, pushing them to seek redemption, forgiveness, or simply closure. The initial pain they caused you may have been impulsive or selfish, but as time passes, they start to feel the weight of their actions. This guilt can gradually consume them, forcing them to face their own shortcomings and mistakes. In Stoic philosophy, guilt is viewed as a result of inner disharmony, when a person's actions clash with their true moral values. For those who have wronged you, this disconnection often causes a lot of mental turmoil. They may replay the moments when they chose harm over kindness and find themselves trapped in self-blame. In some cases, they return not because they are concerned about your healing, but because they are desperate to relieve their own discomfort. Understanding this dynamic is crucial for navigating their return. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This means that while you can't control their guilt or their need to make amends, you do have control over how you react to their actions. Stoicism teaches you to detach emotionally and observe their return with clarity. Are they genuinely seeking to make things right, or are they simply trying to alleviate their own emotional burden? Sometimes guilt manifests as manipulative behavior. They may apologize excessively or go to great lengths to win back your forgiveness, not because they truly understand the damage they cause, but because they're desperate to escape their own feelings of shame and regret. Stoicism reminds us to maintain emotional distance and let their actions, not their words, show us whether their intentions are sincere. As Epictetus puts it, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. When someone returns driven by guilt, it's an invitation for you to reflect on what you deserve. Forgiveness is a personal choice, but it doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life. Their guilt is theirs to carry, not yours to fix. By holding strong to your boundaries and focusing on your own peace, you'll be able to navigate this situation without losing sight of your own growth. Remember, the Stoic path prioritizes inner peace above all else. So let their actions reveal their true intentions, and trust that your peace and well-being are far more important than resolving someone else's inner turmoil. In the end, your strength and wisdom will guide you through their return without compromising your sense of self. Number 2. The fear of losing control over you. When someone who has hurt you comes back into your life, it's often driven by a deep-rooted fear of losing control over you. This fear emerges from the unsettling realization that you are no longer under their influence, no longer seeking their validation, and no longer orbiting their world. For some, this loss of control is far more unsettling than any feelings of love or regret. It's about preserving their dominance, their sense of importance, and their relevance in your life. This fear can prompt them to make desperate efforts to reconnect, not because they care about your well-being, but because they crave the power and validation they once drew from you. From a Stoic perspective, the desire for control is nothing more than an illusion. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone fears losing control over you, they're confronting the uncomfortable truth that you no longer allow them to define your emotions or dictate your actions. Your independence disrupts their sense of self-worth, forcing them to confront a void that they can no longer fill with your attention. This fear manifests in various ways. They might try to manipulate your emotions, dredging up past memories or appealing to your shared history in an effort to reestablish a connection. They could apologize or make promises to change, even if they have no intention of doing so. Others might create drama or confusion, drawing you back into the chaos of an emotionally dependent cycle. Their aim isn't necessarily to make amends. It's about reasserting their place in your life, regaining their grip on your emotional energy. To protect your peace and maintain your autonomy, understanding this dynamic is essential. Stoicism teaches us to detach from the opinions and actions of others, focusing on our own inner strength and values. Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When faced with someone afraid of losing control over you, it's critical to remain calm, centered, and intentional in your responses. You've changed. You've grown stronger, wiser, and more self-sufficient. The fear of losing control exposes their insecurities and lack of self-mastery. Instead of seeking to control you, they should be working on mastering their own emotions and actions. But rather than facing their own inner struggles, they attempt to project their fears onto you, clinging to the familiar dynamic they once had with you. This is why it's so important to keep firm boundaries, not allowing yourself to be pulled back into their emotional drama. Ultimately, their fear of losing control is their burden to bear, not yours. It speaks to their own inner conflict, not your worth. By standing strong on your principles and refusing to be manipulated, you embody true Stoic strength. You control what you can, your thoughts, your actions, and your inner peace. Remember, no one can control you unless you allow them to. Let their fear be a reminder of your freedom, not a chain to hold you down. Number 3, the illusion of greener pastures fades. A powerful reason why people return after hurting you is that the illusion of greener pastures starts to fade. Initially, they might have left or distanced themselves under the belief that something better awaited them, a new relationship, a fresh start, or simply the freedom from the responsibilities tied to you. They may have thought that life elsewhere would bring them greater happiness, excitement, or fulfillment, but as time goes on, reality sets in, and they come to realize that what they left behind was more valuable than they ever realized. The illusion of greener pastures often stems from impulsivity and dissatisfaction. People tend to romanticize new possibilities without truly appreciating what they already have. The comparison game kicks in, and they convince themselves that other relationships or experiences will be more rewarding just because they seem new or different. But once they step into this so-called better reality, they are met with challenges they hadn't expected. The excitement soon fades, the new relationships feel shallow, and the so-called freedom might feel emptier than they anticipated. Slowly, the luster of the greener pasture dulls, and they start yearning for the stability, loyalty, and depth they once shared with you. This shift in perception often triggers their return. The things they once took for granted, your love, support, and companionship, suddenly appear more precious in comparison to the fleeting novelty they chased. They may come back not because they've truly changed or because they see your value more clearly, but because the reality of their choices has fallen short of their expectations. The fantasy they had in mind has crumbled, and now they're seeking refuge in what they abandoned. For you, it's important to recognize the truth behind their return. It's not always about realizing how much they hurt you. It's about the discomfort of realizing that what they thought would bring them happiness hasn't. While their return may seem flattering, it's essential to remember that their shift in perspective may have more to do with their own disappointment than with a genuine desire to mend what was broken. Number 4, the realization of their own unfulfilled needs. A key reason why people return after hurting you is that they come to understand that their own emotional or psychological needs remain unmet. While they may have walked away or distanced themselves, they were often running from a deeper void within themselves, one that they hoped to fill with external distractions or new experiences. Over time, however, they realize that the emptiness they were trying to escape has followed them, and no amount of new people, places, or activities can fill the gaps in their soul. This realization often happens when they've had time to reflect on what truly matters to them. Their external pursuits may have seemed exciting at first, but they come to see that what they were really seeking was the kind of connection, support, or stability that they once had with you. It's not always about love or deep appreciation. Rather, it's a recognition of their own unfulfilled emotional needs and a desperate attempt to find what they've been missing. From a Stoic perspective, this situation reveals the dangers of relying too much on external factors for inner fulfillment. As Marcus Aurelius teaches, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When someone returns because they've failed to find what they were searching for, it's often a sign that they have not taken the time to address their own internal needs. Instead, they are seeking you or the comfort of what you once offered because they have yet to master their own emotions or find lasting satisfaction within themselves. Their return may be motivated by the desire to fill that void with something familiar, rather than out of genuine growth or love. They might make promises to change or claim that they now understand your worth, but it's essential to remember that their return could simply be a reaction to their own dissatisfaction with their life. Stoicism teaches us to focus on mastering our own inner world, to find fulfillment within ourselves rather than looking to others to solve our emotional struggles. As you navigate this situation, it's crucial to remain grounded and reflective. While it may be tempting to embrace their return or feel validated by their attention, remember that your peace and growth should not hinge on someone else's need to fill their own void. Their realization is their own journey to process, not yours to fix. Focus on the strength that comes from knowing that your happiness does not rely on external sources, but on your ability to cultivate inner contentment. Number 5, your growth challenges their comfort zone. One of the most powerful reasons people return after hurting you is the sudden realization of how much you've grown in their absence. When you focus on your personal development, whether it's emotional healing, achieving new goals, or gaining new perspectives, it creates a dramatic shift in the dynamic they once knew. Growth, especially the kind that follows pain, is incredibly powerful, and for those who have wronged you, it can be intimidating. They may have left thinking they could break you or keep you stagnant. Instead, they find you thriving, evolving, and stronger than ever. This forces them to face their own stagnation and confront the reality of losing someone who no longer needs them for validation or support. Growth, especially after enduring hardship, is transformative. When you've been hurt, you have two paths. You can let the pain hold you back, or you can use it as a catalyst for positive change. If you've chosen the latter, it shines through in every aspect of your life, leaving others unable to ignore the strength and progress you've made. Those who once underestimated you may now see you in an entirely new light. Your resilience, achievements, and newfound confidence can challenge the story they once told themselves about you, and even about their own lack of growth. For someone who's hurt you, your success acts as a mirror, showing them the areas in which they've stagnated, neglected, or failed to evolve. Rather than celebrating your transformation, they may find it threatening. Why? Because your growth represents independence, showing them that you no longer need them in the way you once did. This disrupts the power dynamic they once felt comfortable with and forces them to confront the reality that you've moved on to a higher place, one that they may now find unreachable. From a Stoic viewpoint, growth is a natural part of life and should be embraced. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stoicism encourages us to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves, regardless of the actions or opinions of others. As you commit to this journey of self-improvement, you naturally leave behind those who no longer align with your values. While your growth isn't about intimidating others, it can certainly feel that way to those who haven't progressed. Their discomfort with your growth is not your responsibility. True supporters will uplift and celebrate your evolution, but those who feel threatened may attempt to pull you back into the old version of yourself they once knew. Their return may not stem from genuine remorse or a desire for reconciliation. It may be because they want to regain some form of control or ease their own insecurities by bringing you back to their level. Your growth is your armor. It's evidence of your resilience, your dedication to authenticity, and your refusal to remain stuck in the past. Let their intimidation be a reminder of how far you've come and how much you've overcome. Stay focused on your own journey and trust that the right people, those who are also growing, will continue to walk with you, not against you. Number 6, the fear of losing their place in your life. A powerful reason people return after hurting you is the fear of being replaced. When someone leaves your life, especially when it's on their terms, they often believe they're irreplaceable. However, when they see you moving forward, building new relationships, or thriving without them, this fear can take hold. The thought that someone else may now occupy the space they once held, whether as a friend, partner, or a key figure, can ignite a sense of panic, driving them to return, not out of genuine remorse, but out of ego and self-preservation. This fear is rooted in their need for validation. For someone who has wronged you, the idea of being replaced challenges their sense of self-worth and their place in your life. They may have enjoyed the security of knowing that you valued them or relied on them emotionally, but when they witness your independence and see you building fulfilling connections with others, it forces them to confront a painful truth. They are not indispensable. The prospect of someone else treating you better or appreciating you more becomes a harsh blow to their ego, and they can no longer deny that they may have lost their position in your life. This fear intensifies when they observe your strength and self-sufficiency. From a Stoic perspective, personal growth and independence are key to leading a fulfilled life. As Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Your journey toward emotional freedom, freedom from their hurt and influence, becomes a stark contrast to their own lack of progress. The more independent and self-respecting you become, the more they may feel left behind, replaced by your new sense of purpose and clarity. In some cases, the fear of being replaced also stems from regret. Seeing you thrive can make them realize how much they took you for granted. They may replay the moments they hurt you, wishing they could go back and make different choices. But rather than fully accepting responsibility for their actions, they focus on the idea of losing you to someone else, someone who appreciates you in ways they failed to. They may attempt to reconnect in hopes of securing their place in your life once again, driven more by their own fear than a genuine desire for reconciliation. It's important to recognize that their fear of being replaced doesn't always indicate love or care. It's often more about their insecurities than your well-being. When they return, it may not be because they've truly changed, but because they're afraid of losing significance in your life. Understanding this distinction is essential to protecting your emotional boundaries. Your worth is not defined by their fear or need for validation. It is found in the strength, wisdom, and peace you've cultivated in their absence. Whether or not they choose to confront their fears and grow is out of your hands. What matters most is that you continue to honor yourself, protect your peace, and embrace the freedom to live life on your terms. Number 7, the weight of lost connections. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, especially when it involves severed relationships and broken bonds. When someone walks away from your life or causes you harm, they may do so impulsively, thinking their actions are justified or that the separation will bring them peace. However, as time passes and the full impact of their decisions settles in, regret often follows like an unwelcome shadow. The awareness of what they've lost, a deep connection built on trust, care, and shared experiences, can be overwhelming. This realization often sparks a desire to repair the damage they've done, but the chances of restoring what was broken may now seem impossible. Regret in this case isn't just about missing you. It's about recognizing their own failures. Perhaps they took your kindness for granted, overlooked your value, or assumed you'd always be there no matter how they treated you. What once seemed like a secure bond may now feel like a missed opportunity, a regret they'll carry with them forever. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." While change is a natural part of life, not everyone handles it gracefully. For the person who hurt you, the severed connection is a painful reminder of what they allowed to slip away. Broken bonds carry significant emotional weight because relationships are about more than shared experiences. They also involve the support, understanding, and growth that both parties contribute to. When someone reflects on what they had with you, they may come to appreciate the unique role you played in their life. Whether it was your empathy, your unwavering loyalty, or how you challenged them to grow, the absence of these qualities can leave a void that's hard to fill. This void often becomes the root of regret, forcing them to face the reality of their own actions and how they led to the loss of something meaningful. Additionally, regret can be fueled by nostalgia. People tend to romanticize the past, remembering the good moments while glossing over the struggles. The laughter, the support through tough times, and the special bond you shared may now appear more vibrant in their mind. In these moments, regret takes hold, constantly reminding them of their mistakes and the consequences of their choices. However, it's crucial to understand that regret doesn't always lead to genuine change. While some may truly want to make amends and rebuild what was lost, others may simply be trying to ease their own guilt. They might seek forgiveness or reconciliation, not because they are committed to healing the relationship, but because they want relief from the uncomfortable emotions regret brings. As Seneca said, every guilty person is his own hangman. Regret is a punishment in itself, but it doesn't always lead to accountability or personal growth. As you navigate these situations, it's important to recognize that while someone's regret may reflect their internal struggle, it doesn't necessarily mean they have changed. The journey toward healing and reconciliation is long, and it's up to you to determine whether their regret is genuine enough to warrant re-entering your life. The real question is whether their return aligns with your own growth, peace, and boundaries. Number 8, the ego's desire for control. At the core of many troubled relationships lies the ego, an insatiable force that craves recognition, control, and dominance. When someone who has hurt you attempts to return, their actions often stem from this very ego's desire to regain power. Their return isn't always driven by genuine remorse or a desire to heal the wounds they've caused. Instead, it can be a calculated move to feed their ego's need for validation and to reclaim control over you. The ego sees relationships as a platform for asserting dominance. When they hurt you, it may have been an attempt to establish control, believing that your reaction would confirm their power over you. But when you detach, heal, and thrive in their absence, their ego is shaken. Your growth and independence challenge the narrative they've built about themselves, that they are indispensable, the center of your world. Your strength in their absence disrupts the control they once held. Their return often becomes an attempt to reassert this dominance, to remind both themselves and you of the power they once had over your life. This power struggle becomes even more intense when they see you flourishing without them. The ego cannot tolerate the thought of being replaced or irrelevant. To them, seeing you succeed without their involvement feels like a direct blow to their self-image. They return not because they want to support your growth, but to reclaim their position of influence and control. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Yet those driven by the ego rarely recognize this truth. Their relentless pursuit of power blinds them to the emotional harm they cause in their relationships. An ego-driven individual often equates power with emotional leverage. They might try to reignite old feelings or exploit your vulnerabilities to reestablish their hold over you. Apologies might be offered, but these are often mere tools designed to lower your defenses, not sincere expressions of remorse. Their ultimate goal is to reintroduce themselves into your life and regain the power they once held, cloaked in the guise of regret or humility. Stoicism teaches us to recognize and resist the manipulations of the ego, both within ourselves and in others. As Epictetus reminds us, "Whoever then wishes to be free Let him neither wish for anything nor avoid anything which depends on others. Your freedom lies in seeing their return for what it is, a desperate attempt to fulfill their ego's craving for control. By staying rooted in your values and maintaining emotional boundaries, you deny their ego the power it seeks. The ego's hunger for control is endless. People driven by it may never be truly satisfied, as their sense of worth depends on external factors: recognition, dominance, and control over others. This becomes an opportunity for you to reaffirm your autonomy and inner strength. Instead of falling into their power games, you can rise above, embracing the Stoic principles of self-mastery and emotional independence. By doing so, you show that your life is no longer a battleground for their ego, but a space where you control your own narrative in peace. Number 9, testing your boundaries. One of the most common reasons people return after hurting you is to test whether you're still available, emotionally and physically. This behavior often arises from insecurity or uncertainty. They may not be sure if they truly want to reignite the relationship, but they also don't want to let go of their access to you completely. By testing your boundaries, they gauge whether they still have a place in your life, and in some cases, whether they can still influence you. Their approach is usually subtle, maybe a casual message, a comment on social media, or even an accidental encounter. These small gestures aren't typically about genuine connection, but about checking the waters. They want to see if you'll respond, if you'll welcome them back, or if you've moved on. If you do respond positively, it reassures them that the door to your life hasn't been fully closed. Their attempt to gauge your availability gives them a sense of control over the situation. In many cases, this is a form of self-preservation. They don't want to face the reality of being replaced or forgotten, so reaching out becomes their way of securing validation that they still matter to you, even after the hurt they caused. This is particularly true for individuals who struggle with abandonment issues or a deep fear of rejection. Your response becomes a way for them to measure their own worth and confirm that they still hold some kind of significance in your life. However, testing your boundaries can also be a manipulative tactic. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions or offering a sincere apology, they rely on indirect ways to reestablish contact. They might say something like, "I was just thinking about you," or "I wanted to check in," without addressing the real issues that caused the rupture in the first place. This avoids uncomfortable conversations and lets them maintain a semblance of control over the situation. From a Stoic perspective, it's crucial to approach these situations with clarity and emotional resilience. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Recognizing their true intentions helps you stay grounded in your values and maintain your boundaries. If their return is driven by insecurity or manipulation, it's important not to allow their actions to derail your growth or pull you back into a cycle of pain. Testing your boundaries is an attempt to regain control over the relationship dynamic. By understanding this, you can choose how to respond, whether that means setting firm boundaries, addressing unresolved issues, or simply not engaging. Your focus should remain on your own well-being and personal growth. Remember, your worth is not dependent on someone else's need to validate themselves through your availability. By staying true to your values and maintaining clarity, you can navigate these situations with strength and confidence.